Okay, I'll call this village board meeting for September 4th, 2018 to order. Roll call, please.
Joe Zitzelsberger.
Here.
Sam Ballwood.
Here.
Sue Springman. Here. Bill Ranum.
Here.
Chris Sellner.
Here.
Phil Willems.
Here.
Aaron Moran. Here.
Okay, first thing we've got is confirmation of open meeting compliance. Julie?
Yes, I have the affidavits for proper posting of the meeting, confirmation that the newspaper received the agenda, and that it was posted online. There are no public hearings, so there was no public hearing notice necessary.
Okay, thank you. Next, we've got consent agenda. Would anybody like anything pulled, or I'd look for a motion?
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Motion by Susan Springman.
Second?
Second by Phil Willems. Any other comments? Call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to address the board on an issue that's not on the agenda for this evening?
I have no forms.
Okay. I guess I'll make a comment that the utilities did a very nice job in getting power restored for quite a bit of the village this past weekend. A lot of residents were gone, so they might not have even
Didn't even know.
knew that it happened. But we had a lot of people with some power out, and they did a good job and safely restored everything. So my compliments to them.
If you want me to add, a couple people have asked what happened.
You're not putting it up on the screen,
No,
are you?
I won't, but I've got the email from Tim. It might be worth reading for folks to understand. The result was a little squirrel coming to contact with the wrong equipment. I do have a
I don't wanna
picture.
see that squirrel.
Okay. This is from Tim Herlitzka, the utility director. This was at the Centennial substation, which happens to be the only substation that we haven't yet added the guarding protection for critter entry like that. But the utility has invested about $50,000 over the past few years to avoid interruptions of that nature. But they do have the equipment, and it's awaiting installation for Centennial. But that was the cause. He and, like Chris said, and I are pleased with the work of utility staff who came in. They had the on-call staff, and then 3 other staff were called in to help get it up and going. And we got communications out through Facebook, Village Facebook, and the Nextdoor app. And I got some interaction with citizens that way. So that's the story.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, moving on. License and permits. Discuss and take action on operator license applications for Kyle Ressler and Lacey Schrader. Julie?
In your packet are the applications that we provided to the police department for review, subject to our policy for operator license approval. Staff would recommend that they be approved subject to final police review and completion of a responsible beverage server training course.
I would make a motion, we approve of the operator license applications for Kylie Ressler and Lacey Schrader, subject to the successful completion of an approved responsible beverage server training course and review by the Waunakee Police Department.
Okay, motion by Phil Willems.
Second.
Lots of people on the second.
Okay,
Who got it?
I think my left ear had it best, so I'm gonna say second to Aaron.
There you go.
Aaron Moran. Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any other comments? Call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. New business, discuss and take action on additional vacation leave for youth services library position. Todd, are you doing this?
I can introduce it. Eric can jump in if need be, but probably 4 or 5 times over the past 5 years, we've had typically a middle management sort of position where the recruitment process brought us good candidates, and the best of the candidates was at a level within their professional career where our minimum allotment of 1 week of vacation upon hire didn't equate with what that professional was getting in their current employment. So the request is made typically by the applicant in a negotiation, sort of preliminary negotiation discussion about what they would need in order to kind of fit the bill for them to take the job. Eric has done that with this particular applicant, and the request is for a 2-week allotment upon hire for the position. I believe there were details in your packet regarding that particular candidate. Is there anything you wanted to add?
No.
Board members, any comments or questions? How many people did we have apply for this position?
We actually had over 20. We interviewed 6.
Okay.
Pretty excited about it.
So I think we're gonna have to, my recommendation is that we look at this policy as far as our personnel go for the future. I hear that we have 20 people that applied, and that means they want this position, they're coming from another position, so they know what our benefits are up front when they're applying. So as we've had these, we've had several of these now over the last couple of years, I guess. And my concern is that we have a policy in place. If every time somebody comes in, we're gonna say, okay, let's do this. I don't think that's a very good policy, so.
I'd be clear to say that this doesn't happen every time. We do hire employees at the entry-level vacation allotment as well.
Understood.
Okay.
Within that, I'm looking at saying we had 20 people that applied for this, and do we need to move from our policy as a result of it for this individual? That's my take on it. I'm taking the recommendation from Eric that this is the right person for us. We're looking for this. Not sure how I'm gonna vote yet on it, but I would say that in the future, I wanna definitely look at the policy to see if we have to maybe make some tweaks to that to make it so it's more appropriate for what we're looking at. Other comments? Or motions?
Question on this, when are they qualified for vacation? After 6 months employment, or is it like in England on hire?
I wish Adam were here, but I believe it's on hire. And what we've tended to do is to prorate that. So this person would start October 1st, so that 80 hours would be prorated through the end of the year.
It's only 20 hours.
Right.
And they would be available to take those 20 hours after the first of the year, or anytime?
I think any time with department head's approval.
So Todd, can we, if we went along with this, can we put something in there to state that if they were to leave prior to their first year ending, that we can take back?
I believe there is a provision about that in the handbook. Do you,
I think that's right.
That sounds right to me as well.
So we have that already? Okay.
that, something along the lines, if they leave prior to the end of the year with proration in mind, they'd have to pay back the portion.
We had that discussion with the employee manual when we talked about this, but we should verify that because it's important.
Any other comments? So we can say yes, we can say no. Those would seem to be our two options here. So we need a motion one way or another.
I don't know
We're like-
enough about the applicant to make it, I'm sorry.
That's why I'm
That's-
deferring to Eric
yeah.
with what I was saying.
So-
That's if this is the person they want.
I'm very confident that this is an applicant that we'll be proud to have hired.
I think it's pretty standard. I mean, we do it as the same thing in our business where you set a, 1 week of vacation is standard, but someone coming in with experience, you're quick to waive that and say, hey, I know you're getting 4 weeks where you are. If you're willing to take 2 weeks here, we'll meet you in the middle or whatever it might be. I think it's just like starting, you have a salary range of 50 to 70,000 or whatever it might be. They're not gonna take 50. So I think I'll make the motion to approve the request for 1 additional week of vacation for the youth service library position.
Okay, we've got a motion by Sam Bowie, second by Bill Ranum. Any other comments?
I think the difference in the public sectors is so public, whereas in the private sector, people don't really know. So the people who get hired with 1 week go, well, I didn't get 2 weeks, and that's the only thing that makes me unsettled.
And I'm thinking of the employees that accepted with what they were receiving, so. All right, we've got a motion and a second, so I'm gonna call to question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. So I'm no.
6-1. Okay.
Okay, next we've got And please make sure that you indicate that I'm not opposed to the individual.
I get it.
It's just you I don't
It's
like.
Okay, next we've got discuss and take action on a resolution authorizing the issuance of municipal revenue obligation in an amount not to exceed $2.9 million to Renew Air LLC. How does this your?
So I'll take this
Renee?
one.
Okay,
When we approved the developer agreement with Renew Air as part of the TIF and all of that, this MRO was already included in there for the full 2.9 million that we're looking at tonight. So the project they've met all their requirements. It's just now time to formally issue the MRO so that we can, because we are starting to earn increment or get increment from that development, so now we have to start paying them their pay-as-you-go financing. And so we've worked with Brian Kleinmeyer and the bond council that we use, and they have, put together all the paperwork to formalize this. So this is, again, just formalizing what was already in their developer agreement. We would start making payments to them on November 1st, and since it is a MRO or pay-as-you-go bond, we calculate and make sure we pay only, what increment is available under the, so it could be something less. That's why it's an amount not to exceed 2.9 million. That would be the very highest. If the increment isn't there over the years, I think this is probably like a 20-year repayment. Then, they would not get the full amount.
okay. Board members, any questions?
I'm just assuming that our negotiation, everything's in here that we had wanted, that there isn't anything different than what we talked about before.
Yeah, they had to achieve the value of how
Right.
much they put into the building in order to get this back.
Right.
Yeah, and Brian checked all of that, and, and again, the bond council checks all the wording to make sure we're fully protected.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? We have a
Move the
motion.
resolution authorizing the issuance of municipal revenue obligation in the amount of not to exceed 2.9 to Renew Air.
Okay, motion by Susan Springman,
Second.
second by Phil Willems. Any other comments? Call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, next we've got discuss and take action on committee appointments, including Waunakee Housing Task Force. So. Sorry. It's not that much of an emergency. It is a task force. It is a task force within it. So we had a very
Steve's butt.
good response to our task force and the amount of people that signed up for it. As I went through, there's a grid that's in your packet, looks like this. We wanted to make sure that we hit all of our awards as well as the different categories, which made it to be a little bit challenging as I went through and trying to hit all the different areas. We were able to accomplish that, where we have a representative for each of those categories, I believe. And we had a lot of qualified candidates. The people that weren't chosen didn't mean that they weren't qualified in any way. It just meant that we didn't have enough spots based on what we were trying to accomplish with this and getting all the wards to have somebody representing them. So we have those who I recommended are on here for various reasons. And those who are not, I would just say to encourage all of them to participate with this program. Just because you're not on the committee, be there to learn, listen to the speakers, because we're going to have outstanding speakers there, participate in the discussions as we're going through. So everybody who's applied, I hope that you attend all the meetings that you can and participate. But the ones that are listed here are the ones that I recommended.
In addition, Brad Zeman is appointed to Plan
Is that a
Commission.
separate motion or same thing?
altogether.
Okay. Second, we've got Pat McGowan approached me, I think in the January timeframe, indicating that he was interested in leaving the Plan Commission Board. He's been on it and served us very well for many years. And with that, I accepted his resignation. And, he's been great for the committee, great guy. did his job, did his homework, well-spoken, smart guy. And I just wanted to honor what his request was. And it was his time, and he's got a lot of time out in Colorado that he spends, and he wants to be gone out there doing other things, and it was just the right time for him. So I'm reappointing Brad Zeman, who served on the board, or on the Plan Commission previously, to fill Pat's spot at this time. So those are the appointments that we're looking at. Any questions for me, from you, or look for a motion?
I would make a motion, we approve the appointments to the Waunakee Housing Task Force as recommended by the village president, and also the appointment of Brad Zeman to the Plan Commission.
Okay, motion by Phil Bones.
Second.
Second by, was it Joe? Joe Zitzelberger. Any other comments?
I'd just like to say I'm very impressed with the interest there's been in this. The number of people that have applied to it is fantastic. I know that the time that staff put in and the time that you put in to make the grid and try to figure out, how can we, include as many people as possible and get all the opinions that, that are gonna be needed into this. That's fantastic. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, then I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Yeah,
Move to
without
adjourn.
Bill. Mhm.
I'll move to adjourn.
Motion by Joe Zitzelberger to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Sam Bolick. Call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. And what time are we done?
6:17.